Good morning, Glen Park Christian Church. This is Bobby and Mandy Graham. We are currently serving in Ghana, West Africa, um, and have been there for the last 3 years. We're going to give you our testimony of how we got there, and we will be obedient in that process. Mandy will go ahead and start first, and then I'll tell my part.
I can remember as a young child being called into ministry. I just knew that I was supposed to go and serve, and I'd always felt that it was Africa. So when I was in college and did an internship, I went to Ethiopia. And when I came back, Bobby was ready and willing to go.
I was ready and willing to go, but not at that point. I told her yes, we could go, but at a later date. But I didn't feel called. We had gone to Manhattan Christian College, and that's where we met. And I got a degree in Christian education and was ready to serve in the church. And then when the time came, I said no. I got it opened 3 or 4 doors for me to go into ministry, and I would start pursuing it, and then said no, I wouldn't do it. And so I was being disobedient. And then in 2008, Mandy's brother Jeremy was killed in a work accident, and
2006.
2006. But that God used that to wake me up. He says, "When are you? You don't know when I'm going to call you home, and what are you going to do? When are you going to do what I want you to do?" And so, with that, a song on the radio, and then a study that I was doing with Tom Hawks, God really used that time and made me realize I needed to be working for Him and not doing what I wanted to do myself. And so we started the process of finding an agency to go with, and it was difficult.
Our first agency that we had looked into, after going several steps forward with them and through some training, they told us that it wasn't going to be a fit, that they didn't think we would be able to do that. And so we started pursuing another one, not right away, but once we'd met with some of Bobby's friends, they had encouraged us to check out Team Expansion. So we had done that. Then after that, we started pursuing One Direction, and then even went to a site visit, visited a team, and were making plans to go. And then with a phone call one time with them, they uninvited us, and that took the breath out of us. And we called our field coordinator at Team Expansion right away, and we called Tom Hawks and just got some counsel from them, and they encouraged us to go forward. They couldn't imagine why someone would uninvite us. And so we started pursuing another route with Team Expansion, and they gave us some different places to look at and teams to consider. And from that, we narrowed it down to a couple, and then we got a phone call from one of them, and they'd heard that we were stranded somewhere, and one of those Facebook things where someone posts something and says you need money right away. And so instead of, doing that, they just called us and said, "Hey, are you guys okay?" And that was kind of our final thing of knowing for sure where God was calling us to go.
So we started that process, and we ended up going. That's how we ended up in Uganda, West Africa. Ghana, West Africa, yes. With our teammates Terry and Amy Ruff. And the process has been difficult at times, but rewarding. We know that God has called us there, and He is moving mightily amongst the people there, teaching them to be obedient as well, or even them teaching us what obedience is probably a huge aspect. They completely rely on God, just as we have to rely on God for the support that everybody sends us so that we can stay there and we can do ministry. But on a day-to-day basis, they are being obedient. There's a story comes to my mind with one of a man named Kobanaka, that he has 12 children and 2 wives, and he's a believer, and he is a giver, and he doesn't know necessarily where things are going to come from, But when there's need in the village of either fellow Christians or not, or Muslims, he may give what he has and not expecting anything. And his comment is, "Oh, Daddy, God will provide." And God does provide, just as we have learned in that process of being completely obedient to Him and doing what He asks. It's not always easy doing what God wants us to do, but when we do it and we strive to do it to the best of our ability, God can move mightily. Just an example of how God is moving because of our obedience and our teammates' obedience and taking our team in a total new direction, and training the nationals to do a lot of the work that we do. We've had 546 people that have accepted the Lord, and in 2 years. So it's just amazing how God has done it. There are about 6,700 people groups that are unreached, and that's our call, is to be obedient and to go and minister to them, as all of us have. We all have that call to be obedient and go, and not just to the other parts of the world, but even here in Wichita, you have a huge opportunity right around you, the church, to be obedient and to minister to people in that way, and get to know them, who they are, and find out their needs, and see what God can do in them, with you, through them. So I encourage you to be obedient in that way as well. Thank you very much.